Another milestone for the show. Episode 9 of the current iteration of the Word Podcast. I am joined by Richard Bruce Anaranjada Abernathy.
Maybe my favorite one yet. Thank you.
It's my favorite too. Y'all think it's a game out here.
It's not a game, or so I've been told.
Bro, we another milestone for the show. We are recording the show from the same area code, but not in the same room. So we're really using this technology thing. Richard happens to be in Atlanta for work, and we had a show meeting this morning.
Very productive.
Very productive show meeting. Got the rundown sorted out. Well, we thought we did. We were going to have another guest. They decided that they had another conflict. So
I'm not giving up on that guest. We're going to get that guest on the show at some point.
It needs to go down because
it's a secret. If they're listening, they know who they are.
They do know who they are, and they're coming on the program. People think it's a game out here, man. But we got a lot done, and then we were going to meet up again and do the show live, potentially even broadcast with video, which we haven't done in a while. But logistically, that actually turned out to not be the best idea. So we shout out to the executive producer, Richard Bruce Anaranjada Abernathy, for suggesting that we still do it remotely. Because, a show is still better than no show. And
That's deep.
We haven't been on the air since early August, so we're still going at a pretty good pace here. Episode 9.
We had to take a little summer break.
Yeah, I had preseason start up for coaching, so that really saps a lot of energy out of me and a lot of time. And then obviously you're working at a pretty consistent pace. And so we scheduled in a little vacation for ourselves, but we are back on the air. We got a lot to talk about. A lot of events since we've been on the program, or since we were last on the program. We've got to start with something that this doesn't happen very often in sports. A genuine surprise is particularly in the NBA. You kind of get those spaced out every couple of years. The blockbuster trade, if we can call it that, where
we can.
We can call we're calling it a blockbuster trade.
Assuming that it still stands.
Yeah, I know. That's another thing, too. All the drama behind some of the medical issues, and if we're going to get another player to compensate for this.
We'll get to that. That's on the back end. Let's address the actual move first.
We've got Boston trading away Isaiah Thomas Jr. to the Cleveland Cavaliers. And
Is he a junior?
Players. Actually, I don't think he is a junior technically. They just say he's IT.
Yeah. No relation to the Pistons' Isaiah Thomas.
So that's what happens when you assume you make a podcast out of you and me, which is what I just did.
It's got to be your podcast.
It's my podcast. No.
The royal we. It's our.
Okay. There we go.
Yeah.
There we go. For Kyrie Irving, who obviously did not make any bones about the fact that he really wanted to get out of Cleveland, and so he got his wish, and he gets to go to the Eastern Conference regular season champion Boston Celtics. All his dreams have come true. He doesn't get to play with LeBron James, the best player of his generation, Kevin Love, J.R. Smith. He gets to play with, I can't name any other players on the Celtics roster.
Oh, come on. Gordon Hayward.
I can't. You know
Al
me.
Horford, Jason Tatum.
There you go.
Jaylen Brown.
I know it might come as a surprise to people, but I'm not that knowledgeable about NBA rosters. I know it's a surprise to you.
A huge surprise. Even more surprising than this trade.
Well,
the fact that you didn't name Aaron Baines first, right? I now have I need to reassess some things in my life. I
I
feel like I know
know.
nothing about you anymore.
Yeah, it's I didn't know how to break it to you, but I guess doing it
Well,
live on the internet on a podcast it seemed like the most appropriate way to do
ain't that or Maury.
it. You are not a sports fan. Damn. So did Kyrie? Let's pretend that Let's pretend, just pretending here, that I am a casual sports fan on the outside looking in. Even though I
Okay,
do,
it's a big reach,
it's a big stretch.
but I'll go for it.
If I'm looking at this from the outside looking in, just as a casual fan, yeah, I support my Boston teams and all that, New England area sports franchises. Do Who wins here? Because I really feel like Boston got the better of this. No, or am I just buying into the headline?
Well, if the trade stands as currently is, which was Isaiah Thomas, Jay Crowder, Ante Zizic, and the unprotected Brooklyn pick in 2018 for Kyrie Irving. This is actually one of those trades that I think is pretty even and helps both teams, to be honest with you. Because and the strange thing about it is that it allows them to both build for the present and the future, which is tough to do.
Okay.
Um, Kyrie, while on paper the numbers with Isaiah are similar, is younger, will be cheaper for next year at least, is healthier. Isaiah's had some issues with his hip, and he's also 5-6 inches taller,
Mm-hmm.
at least. Um, so while neither are great defenders, they've at least now got it's just tough to play consistently good defense and match up when one of your guys is listed at 5'9".
Okay.
That might work at the YMCA. It doesn't work in Oracle Arena in June. But Isaiah's still a really good player, very skilled offensively, heart of a champion, great leader. So I feel like Boston upgrades. They get the best player in the deal, which I've always been a proponent of. That's usually the side you want to be on. They gave up some pieces, they gave up some assets, but at a certain point, you got to cash those in for something anyway. Um, and honestly, I think they were close to a situation where they had too many guys that they were going to have to find minutes for. Not necessarily, all the time, like, oh, they got this guy, but there's only one that need. Just finding enough minutes for Tatum and Kerr and Hayward and Brown and Rozier and Smart and all these guys. I mean, who was going to play? How was that going to divvy itself out? So like it sort of eliminated that problem, and they got the best player. And I mean, Kyrie, one of the 15 players in the league, I would say,
Yes.
and higher than that if you just look offensively. So hopefully within the Stevens system, he should be a good fit, and maybe his defense can improve a little bit, or at least as a team defender, he can get a little bit better. He's only 25 years old. So from that standpoint, it's great for them. For Cleveland, who's already worried about the other shoe dropping and LeBron leaving again, it allows them to move Kyrie and remove that distraction, but not really get markedly worse in the short term. That the drop off from Kyrie to Isaiah for a year, if Isaiah's healthy, is not a drastic one. Plus, they add another wing guy in Crowder to help out, maybe take some of the Shumpert minutes. And most importantly, they get that Brooklyn pick, which could be top 5. I'm not as convinced as some people are that that's a potential, top 5, top 3, maybe even number 1 overall pick. I think Brooklyn has improved their team this summer, and a lot of other teams, especially in the East, have taken a step or two backwards and will have no incentive to be good next year. Whereas Brooklyn doesn't own their pick, whether they win, 22 games or 32 games is the same. So why not try to build that winning culture and do as much as you can to start turning the franchise around. So I think it'll be a decent pick and something for them, whether it's to leverage in a trade or to restock if LeBron leaves. So I think it's a good. Honestly, I think it's a good thing for both teams. And I know some Celtics fans who are a little more hardcore than you that were a little upset about giving up the Brooklyn pick. But at the end of the day, it takes something to get something. And I thought it was pretty good for both sides.
Richard Bruce Ainge Abernathy breaking down the blockbuster / shock trade Isaiah Thomas to the Cavaliers for Kyrie Irving. This guy, I mean, people are going to get tired of hearing me say this, but this guy's just breaking down trades like it's his job.
It is my job, James. On this show, that's my job. And I want to go back. I know we talked briefly about the other teams in the East. I mean, everybody thinks that Brooklyn pick is a surefire top 5 pick. But let's just run through this for a second if we can.
Okay.
The Atlanta Hawks won 43 games a year ago and lost like everybody from that team.
Yeah.
Other than Dennis Schroeder and a couple of young guys. Indiana Pacers won 42 games and they lost Paul George. Chicago Bulls won 41 games. They lost a bunch of. They lost Jimmy Butler. For right now, Dwayne Wade's coming back, but I think at some point he gets bought out or traded. In fact, I think we'll see him on the Cleveland Cavaliers before it's all said and done. Detroit's still kind of a mess. The Knicks are a mess. Orlando's bad. Philly's getting better. But, I mean, those 3 teams right there. I mean, Brooklyn won 20 games a year ago, added some nice pieces, traded for D'Angelo Russell. They're getting Jeremy Lin back. They picked up DeMar Carroll, who, well, not a star, as a professional basketball player. And traded for Alan Crabb. Like, they added some pieces. They got better. And just in the East, 3 or 4 teams got markedly worse. And then you look out West, Phoenix is still rebuilding. New Orleans, who knows how that's going to go. Minnesota should be better, but until I see it, I'm not ready to pencil them in as a playoff team. Sacramento's still rebuilding. Dallas still has a long way to go. I mean, that could very easily be the 7th, 8th pick in that draft, in which case that's a home run for the Celtics. Because they were going to have to pay Isaiah Thomas next year. And they're going to have to pay him a lot of money. And they'll have to pay Kyrie too. But Kyrie still has 2 years left on his deal at about $20 million, which, at least for 2018-19, will probably be 10 or so less than Isaiah's going to make.
Again, I've said it before. I've said it again. And I'm going to do a repeat here. Richard Bruce, Legler, Abernathy breaking down the draft situation and the Brooklyn pick, which is integral to the deal between the Celtics and the Cavaliers. So all in all, some front office wheeling and dealing here. Nobody seems to be getting, really screwed. I forget what the term is.
Well,
Bill Simmons used to use for it.
Cleveland may feel differently right now. Because
this is due to the hip situation.
Due to the hip situation with Isaiah, which was not really a secret. I don't think this was a situation where they didn't know that there was a problem there. I mean, it was pretty well documented that he had a hip problem. I mean, he, stopped playing in the playoffs because of it. But after they reviewed the medicals, there was talk of maybe there needing to be more compensation in the deal to make this thing go through, which means maybe it's a little worse than we thought. Maybe he's going to miss part of the season. So we'll see how that plays out. But I don't think this is going to get to a point where the deal is going to go back, because that's just not good for anybody.
Right.
Because then they're both dealing with guys who don't want to be where they are. I mean, Isaiah was obviously happy being there, but you can't trade a guy like that who's as passionate and fiery as he is and then say, "Oh yeah, whoops, my bad. We want you back," and then expect things to go well.
Right, right. And
Yeah.
on that note, we talked about this at the show meeting this morning. Now I don't have any record of this, so we might have to go back through the archives. We were explaining to the guest host that we were trying to recruit to come onto the program the the essence of putting 5 on it, which is now a cornerstone of the show. And you mentioned that you had put 5 on Kyrie not getting traded, or now I don't have a record of this. I was looking back through I try to mark down the shows where someone's put 5 on something, and I don't see that in there. So,
It may have been a bold statement, but
ooh, okay,
at some point I thought that they would come to their senses. But that was pretty early on. That's before I started reading a little bit more about how bad things had gotten and all the weird passive aggressive not even subtweeting, like, sub unfollowing on Instagram or Twitter, or, it's just so funny to see some of those things. Like, I mean, I know people have always done stuff of that magnitude when there's been disagreements on teams, but it's just so funny to be able to see it so publicly now.
yeah.
Like, could you imagine telling, somebody who played in the NBA in the 1970s or early 1980s that if they had instead of, having a beer with their teammate after and yelling at each other and, maybe a punch or two gets thrown, that they're going to unfollow them on Instagram. It's just funny to think that's where things have gone.
And it really means something though. Like I didn't know, I'm not like a total dinosaur. I still participate in social media very, rarely. But I didn't know until really kind of listening to my kids that I coach talk, like that's a big deal. Like it's a very you are in a sense publicly saying I don't mess with this person anymore when you do that, and everybody knows it, everybody sees it, and the person that you're doing that to sees it as well. But you're exactly right. It's like that. You think about the NBA. It used to be a lot more like a kind of a workman type league and very very blue collar. I mean, there's still guys that made a lot of money, but now it's almost like high school the way that some of this stuff goes down.
It's a millennial league.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Yeah, that's the age of the people that are playing in it for the most part. So
and it seems like more of that in this situation has come from Kyrie's end.
yeah.
As LeBron posted, he seemed to have taken the high road, at least publicly, in the aftermath of the trade. And they had a nice post, thanking Kyrie for all they'd accomplished and that sort of thing. So I still feel like there's something coming there, whether it's when they play opening night or in the playoffs. I feel like he's clearly not happy that this has gone down the way it's gone down.
Yeah.
I've seen some reports that he's just a man possessed, working out, getting ready for the season because of this whole thing. But it'll be interesting to see how that relationship plays out, because it was not always the smoothest partnership. Not that I think personally they didn't necessarily like each other, but there was some, LeBron's leadership. We've talked about it on the show before. Can be a little passive aggressive. Let's be honest. That the messages through the media where he's sort of hinting at things, or his tweets or Instagram posts where you're thinking that he's sort of delivering a not so subtle message to guys on the team, if that's his style and that's the way he does it, then so be it. I mean, I don't know if that's necessarily better or worse than, Jordan in practice being direct and calling teammates out in front of everybody, or saying, talking shit and saying they couldn't stop him, or they shouldn't be, playing, or any of that type of stuff. So, I mean, there's a lot of different ways to try to lead and get to the same goal. And LeBron's taken a little more of the passive aggressive route, but I'm curious to see how that relationship plays out in the long run.
Shout out to Jordan for punching Steve Kerr in the face at a practice. That's been confirmed by multiple
That's a great
people.
Story.
It's an unbelievable story. I mean, it's like, talk about a different time.
How many straight days would that lead Sports Center if that happened now?
Oh my gosh.
If, let's say, LeBron punched Kyle Korver in the face at practice.
It would be Punchgate. There'd be like there'd,
Stephen A. Smith would move to Cleveland to report on this every day.
there'd be like a summit. Like they would invite the two of them on to like Oprah or Barbara Walters to like hash it out, like a live like broadcast. And oh man, yeah, I guess that kind of stuff now you really got to keep under wraps. Like if there's anything physical that goes on, because otherwise it gets out in the press, or heaven forbid the word podcast finds out about it, and then we want the answers, people.
We bring hard-hitting journalism to the digital airwaves. That was going to be our tagline instead of sports news stuff, but we went that route instead.
I remember. We'll have to post this video, but the intro to the show that we did in college, the video intro pre-roll was like.
There's an interrogation involved.
Well, no, that was in one of the. That was
a promo.
Yeah, that was a promo. We had the green screen, like very formal anchors, like turning to the camera, like writing down notes, and then looking up and staring at the camera.
But we did that like tongue in cheek. Like, as we were doing it, we were like doing like Anchorman with it. Like
Yes.
it looked serious, but we did not take it serious.
So great.
We knew we were being ridiculous, and that was part of the fun.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I still remember the day we shot that, and oh my goodness, it was so much fun. And it really.
I've still got the poster.
Oh, we had the huge poster. Gosh, let's just go back to college. I'm enrolling. I'm re-enrolling.
I'm not taking any classes, but I'm enrolling.
Van Wilder style. I mean, holy cow. My mom just got a job at UNC, so she was like talking about like, yeah, I get to take classes, so I might do a master's degree. And I was like, what about a family? Do we get? She's like, nope, just me. Oh man, I'm gonna go back to school, move back into Hinton James. How much of a disaster would that be? I lived in Hinton James again. Oh my gosh.
Well, just be careful if you go to the top of the hill, because sometimes the waiters spill food.
Jesus Christ. Richard Bruce. Oh, what's the word I'm looking for? I almost said Vidal Sassoon for some reason. But I'm way off there.
Trace May?
Yeah. We got to witness one of the greatest events in culinary history at a very nice restaurant. Top of the Hill's got great food. They got a great beer selection. They obviously brew it there.
Top of the Hill.
Good place.
Blueberry wheat for the win.
Yeah, really good beer. I remember that.
Place.
And we were there just catching up and having a nice little. It was like a little dinner, a little late lunch, early dinner, and we both were in town. Maybe the holidays.
It was about this time of year, actually.
Oh, it was? Okay.
NFL preseason. I remember there was a Panthers-Eagles preseason game going on.
Okay.
I don't remember anything we talked about or any of that. I just remember the part of the story you're about to tell, and that there was a Panthers-Eagles game. That's all I remember.
So we're just hanging out. There's a large party next to us, at least 7, 8 people. And they, of course, when you order like that, they try to bring all the food out at the same time. And they've got this huge platter that they put all the plates on, and they got the guy holding it up above his head. And he rolls over to the table, and we're just kind of like, whatever. It's they ordered their food, and the next thing you know, we just hear this crash, and I look over, and there's people just looking so bewildered and upset because they got this food spilled on them by this waiter, who was like just profusely apologizing. And I remember like I just couldn't control myself. I had to like cover my face with the menu, which I fortunately still had. And
I thought you were gonna have to like run inside.
Which is normally my reaction when stuff like that happens. I don't know. It's such a meme thing. Like why I found that so funny, but I still to this day I just randomly will be sitting around thinking about that. Oh man, that's good. It's a good meal. That made it all the better. The guy with all the food who spilled it. It looks like I don't know if you've seen the GIF
By the way, we're on the same page. You say GIF and not GIF, right?
No, it's GIF. GIF is the
Okay.
proper way to
I,
pronounce
I,
it.
our prospective guest on the show also says GIF, and we got into an argument the other day about this.
But it's been
Um,
proven. It's already come out. The guy
okay,
that
okay,
did.
okay. I can prove to you why you're wrong later. It's immaterial to this part. But
Wow.
uh, I don't know if you've seen the GIF of it's from one of those like infomercial things that they sell, where there's like the people like cease to be able to function, like like when they have like for the Snuggie when they're like wearing like
Yeah.
the blanket and they have to like read something and they like suddenly forget how to function.
Yeah.
It can't
Yeah. Yeah.
it can't move their arm to pick up the remote.
Yeah.
But there's one with like the guy going to wash his car and he's holding like the bucket and the hose and he's got all these brushes and then he just like starts like fumbling it all and like falls over, but it looks so fake and staged.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what this guy looked like.
It was so great. I swear,
Yeah.
I don't know what it is when I'm at a meal with you. There's always something that causes me to just freak out. Like even today at the production meeting, I had to run out because you made a remark, and I was like, I need to not. I can't be in this restaurant right now. Then when we were in Jacksonville, I think I already told this story when you brought out some joke about a reverse flat Earth truther.
Yeah.
And I seriously thought I was going to throw up. I think I'd just like taken like a big swig, and I was like, I like ran out of the restaurant. So I was like, I don't want this to become a whole scene here, because see. But actually, you do that on the show too. You get me all riled up on the show, which
But by the way, referencing that GIF or GIF, depending, there's a great Reddit called "Where Did the Soda Go?" and it's got like all these little clips of like ridiculous things from infomercials.
oh,
and
that
it's
sounds
fantastic. You're forget getting anything done tonight, James. You're going to be on Where Did the Soda Go Reddit.
I
Like,
mean, there you go again. This is like 3-4 shows in a row now where I'm like, all right, we got a good planning done. We're going to be done with the show by around 7:30, maybe earlier. I'm going to do a little bit of work. Then I'm going to put on Game of Thrones early night, be ready for work and practice tomorrow. Now I'm going to be on Reddit all night. Because I had never heard of Where'd the Soda Go? But I've been checking out a couple good subreddits, such as R Cringe is really good. And also Not Tim and Eric is a really good one. They're just memes on Reddit are just incredible. The Reddit community is just out of this world. I mean, but yeah, there you go. There goes my night. I'm going to do the podcast. I'm going to take the laptop into my bed. Just get on Reddit. Thank you very much. I mean, what am I supposed to do here?
Oh, these are incredible.
Speaking of Reddit, last night, Mayweather McGregor, I was like, I don't want to find a stream to watch this. I'm gonna dive in here.
Now, as your legal counsel, I would
Yes.
just like to make sure that you don't incriminate yourself with anything you're about to say. So please continue.
I don't know if this is incriminating. I mean, I'm taking a risk here, but I'll go for it.
Well, is this like a Napster thing where the people who got in trouble were the ones who uploaded, not downloaded?
See, that's the thing. I think that's how it works. Well, at least I hope so. But because I found one and it was all right, but it was really laggy, so I gave up after a few minutes. I was like, and it wasn't really that interesting. Like, I'm not really a big boxing fan. However, the biggest fight, not ever, but of the last 10 years or so, perhaps, or at least the biggest spectacle, went down yesterday. Neither of us watched the fight, but we are still going to break it down here on the show. Well, not really break it down. We'll just talk about it and pretend like we know what we're talking about when it comes
I'm going to break down why I didn't watch it or want to watch it.
Ooh.
Is that allowed? Can I do that?
Spicy. I feel a lukewarm take coming on. I like it.
Maybe a little warmer than lukewarm, but not much.
Ooh. Burn notice. Well, okay, so let's get into that because you and I didn't even really talk about the fight leading up to it. So I guess that could have been an indication that you were not that interested. I mean, not that I was so intrigued by it. I was very intrigued by like we talked about at the show meeting this morning, the finances behind it, some of the logistics, like the stream going down. And, I've been doing a lot of self-learning about how to prepare for those kind of events. If you're like doing like a big launch or a live event, how do you have enough online resources available? But the fight itself, I was kind of like, well, I mean, a fight is a fight. I don't really know what to look for and how to know who's doing better. But you were not into it.
Not into it at all. My reasons, James, are threefold.
Ooh.
If I may.
Okay.
One, I don't really care for either boxing or MMA.
Ooh,
on their own.
Spicy meme.
Off the bat, just don't really care about the two sports. Two, I was therefore not very interested in a BS. Like, it was basically like the Michael Phelps racing a shark version of a boxing match or MMA fight. And C, I just find Floyd Mayweather to be a despicable human being. So I was not interested in supporting him in any way.
Richard Bruce Kellerman Abernathy coming at us with I'm going to go ahead and say, slightly above room temperature take on Mayweather McGregor. It's not a game out here, people.
Here's my question. How many people who would call their local NFL team and say they would not buy season tickets if they signed Colin Kaepernick bought the fight to support Floyd Mayweather last night? What's the crossover on that Venn diagram?
Okay, so let me see if I follow here, because I want to break this down. I want to make sure I'm on the same page. You're saying that – actually, I have no idea what you're saying. Dive into that a little bit more.
People who would be upset about signing Colin Kaepernick because he knelt during the national anthem would then follow that up and support someone with multiple instances documented and punished criminally of abusing women.
Ah. So you're saying there's kind of like a bread and circuses aspect to this? Like,
I don't know what that means, but yes, that sounds like a good way to put it. I don't.
The bread and
circuses. Wait, no. I think it takes two bananas.
Multiple great good.
Multiple circuses to grind the bread. I don't know.
No, the bread and circuses comes from the idea from the Roman times that if you just give people food and entertainment, that they will forget about the other ills in their life. And what you're saying is that people will purport to be so upset about Colin Kaepernick and they don't want him on their team because he knelt during the national anthem, even though I believe he said he's not doing that this year, right? If he gets on a team.
That I'm not sure of. He hasn't really talked much.
Okay. But you're saying that those people that would be upset, that would actually call and do that, are going to then put money, what we're talking about, over $100 million, what it seems like it's going to be, regardless of the outcome of the fight, into Mayweather's pocket by supporting the stream or purchasing pay-per-view or buying the stream. And you're saying that's a problem for you.
Oh, yeah. And there's probably already plenty of contradiction just within the NFL example.
Yeah.
So I'm not trying to be like hot take McGee over here, but it just seems like so many people, and I'm probably guilty of it too to some degree, of, one thing is not okay, but then something else that's equally bad or worse, we don't bat an eye and we don't care. It seems very selective and motivated by different things, not necessarily race or politics, but could just be, how big a fan you are of that team or that sport or that player. Like, we just tend to, it seems like an issue of convenience more than anything.
Richard Bruce Shap Abernathy, not a fan of Mayweather, Not a big fan of the fight. Didn't care for it. Didn't watch. Hot takes. No, Luke, no, room temperature takes coming in here, people. Hopefully you're prepared. We didn't issue a room temperature warning for the before the show started, so viewer discretion is advised.
I will say the fight was in Las Vegas, so it's a dry room temperature.
Oh, this guy. This people think it's a game. People think that this guy. This is just how Rich is. He's firing on all cylinders. He's a V8. He's a V12. The new 2018 Richard Bruce Daimler Abernathy.
I was hoping you'd go Hemi.
Was a Hemi a V12? Are they all V12s?
I don't know.
I'm gonna look it up. I don't know. I don't much care.
I don't even know what a Hemi is.
Yeah, it's a monstrosity of an engine.
Yeah.
It's they're inline 6 and V8s. Okay. Good enough.
But into the fight a little bit, and I have not seen a single second of it. Mm-hmm. I've seen maybe like 2 still images on Twitter today.
Yeah.
But it seems like everybody's all excited, like, Conor made it exciting. He put up a good fight, blah, 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 blah. First of all, I'm not sure that's true. This seems like, from what I've read, that, that's just Floyd's style. Floyd let him punch himself out.
Yep.
He got tired after a couple rounds, and then he dominated from that point on.
Yep.
But if people actually believe that it was a good fight, isn't that bad for boxing?
This is...
that a guy who some people think is the best ever or among the best ever, and I certainly don't purport to know enough about boxing to refute that or agree with it.
Yeah.
But somebody who's held in considerable esteem in the boxing fan community, to have to go 10 rounds with a guy who's never boxed professionally before.
Yeah.
Isn't that bad?
See,
Wouldn't that be like if let's say LeBron played Randy Moss in a game of basketball, and it was tight for a while, and then LeBron wound up winning by a couple points. Like the argument of this was a good fight or Floyd did well or Conor did well is different than he did not completely embarrass himself. Like, not embarrassing himself is not necessarily good for boxing. It just means it's not bad.
See, this is why you're the executive producer of the show. Richard Bruce Lupica Abernathy, breaking it down. I had never thought of it from that perspective, because yesterday I was following along the fight a little bit on Twitter, but mostly the New York Times had like a live page. They were like breaking it down round by round. And the sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? The thrust of the recap was that, well, McGregor's doing okay, he's holding his own, but he's getting tired. And then round 10, he had the technical knockout. And I remember thinking like, oh, okay, yeah, good for him. Yeah, he's it's his first time in an actual professional boxing match of this stature. I mean, maybe he did some very underground stuff when he was younger before MMA, but which is where he got that left hook. But I remember thinking like, oh well, yeah, that's actually kind of impressive. But you've actually just kind of flipped that on its head. Well, not that it's not impressive, but that what does that say about the sport of boxing, where you have a guy, Floyd, who's going to retire at 50-0, which I didn't even know. I didn't know he'd never lost. He's going to retire at 50-0 in his last fight, going up against a guy who's never boxed before, at least on this magnitude.
Yeah, it was a gimmick.
Ooh, that's
what it was.
Right here, Richard Bruce. I'm officially upgrading. I'm going to have to submit. I'm going to circumvent the normal process here. I know I have to go through the correct channels, submit approval to Congress, but I am officially putting in a request to upgrade your take to a hot take. It's a hot take, people.
How is that a hot take?
I think it's a hot take. I think it's a good take.
He fought a guy who had never done, like, That would be like arranging a special football game if Tom Brady was about to retire, where the Patriots play the Toronto Argonauts, who technically play a related type of game, and they play them in some exhibition. It was supposed to be an exhibition, and why they eventually wax the floor with them, and then it becomes all about how great Brady is because they beat the Toronto Argonauts. and it counts as another Super Bowl title and it proves why he's the best ever. It's silly. It was a made-for-TV thing, and that's fine. Like, everything doesn't have to be the greatest fight ever or the best game ever. Like, it can just be something silly and fun that people want to see, and I get that. That's fine. But let's not build it up to be more than what it is or exaggerate its importance or what it means or what it says about this person or that sport or any of that. It could just be a silly thing on a Saturday night in the middle of summer when nothing else is going on to have fun. That's okay.
I'm still submitting the paperwork for this to be officially recognized by the Library of Congress as a hot take.
I'll maybe give you warm take, maybe.
Okay, that's fine. I don't have to go through congressional approval for that, so that's actually probably better for us.
Or at least a humid take.
Ooh, humid take. Okay. And now I'm looking up.
I don't know why it would be humid. I don't see why that's a hot take. Like, it was pretty well acknowledged. Boxing is always kind of a circus anyway. But this whole thing was how long was this talked about before it happened? Like, this wasn't quite. Didn't Carrot Top fight somebody one time or something, or in the celebrity boxing days? Like, it wasn't to that level, but this was kind of like I felt like there was always kind of like a subtle wink and a nod with this whole thing anyway.
It certainly. I remember yesterday when I was trying to find out what happened with the fight, because my neighbors had people over and I could hear them yelling, and I was like, all right, well, something happened. I could even hear through the walls. They're like, I told you, man. So I was like, okay, something big happened. And I was looking at, just searching on Google, and not all the sites had updated yet with the results. But there was a picture of the two of them with their arms around each other at like one of the events, and I was like, wait a minute, I thought you guys hated each other. But apparently, maybe there wasn't that much animosity.
There's always some of that. Like, yeah. They played up for cameras. There's a WWE aspect to the whole thing. Conflict sells. If they think that the guys get along and like each other, it doesn't do anything to draw a casual interest. That people who think they hate each other and something crazy is going to happen because they despise each other will tune in.
Yeah, and I wish I had my technical setup here good enough to where I could play that sound clip from Rocky IV that you just mentioned. This is supposed to be an exhibition.
It was. I still think Rocky V should have been some sort of trial about the death of Apollo.
Yeah, he killed that dude, and that was it. They just fought again.
Could that at least be a special Law and Order?
With Dolph Lundgren. Oh, man. Oh, boy. Rich Abernathy with a humid take on the Mayweather-McGregor fight. You really. You know
why it's a humid take? Because it doesn't bother me and you're sweating it.
That's it. Show's over. Show's over, people. Get out. Get out of here. Everybody out. Get out of the studio right now. Get out. Show is over.
All right, I'm gone. I'll see you later.
Thanks for joining us, everybody. Richard, this guy's coming out. What are you like? What do you just like? You have like a writing staff? Is there like people working for you I don't even know about on this podcast? Where is this stuff coming from?
Yeah, I got interns, bro.
Oh, yeah. I want an intern. I need someone to take show notes for us now, which I should remind people. Now on the podcast, you can browse through the program with the chapters on your podcasting application. Excuse me. On your podcasting application. So you can, if you want to only hear about certain things or not hear about others, then you can.
No.
Oh, they have to listen to the whole thing?
They have to listen to the whole thing, but when they listen for the second time, they can skip ahead to the parts they like the best when they re-listen.
Ooh, okay, good. Good call to action. See, this is what happens when you have interns. They fill you in about this stuff. I don't even know about this stuff. It's incredible. This guy's out here. This guy is out here he's dropping humid takes. He's got the puns. I mean, what's next? I mean, you're gonna pull a rabbit out of your hat. I mean, what is going on here?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
If I know what sound a rabbit made, I would have made that sound.
Do rabbits make a sound?
I think it's like a chipmunk or a squirrel, like a.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. See?
Or no, they go rabbit.
Richard Bruce Hannah Abernathy. Animal
This
expert.
wraps up this week's dad joke of the week.
There's always at least one. Well, more than that
come
usually.
on.
I'm just very surprised at your humid take on. Not surprised. In fact, you've definitely swayed me, because I had my doubts too. I was like, come on, this is a little bit too neat. It's a little bit too, yeah, like you said, it's midsummer or late summer, not much going on. They know they're going to get a payday out of it. Mayweather, retires quote unquote on top.
He retired before.
Say again?
He retired. He'd already retired. He retired after the Pacquiao fight.
Oh, I thought so. This wasn't technically like a. Okay, this wasn't.
I mean, every boxer retires like at least 5 times. So there's nothing new there.
Wow, Richard Abernathy just breaking down. This guy, you're just breaking it down. I'm not in the same level. I'm gonna have to go train in the Russian tundra like Rocky to get on your level right now.
Can you run away from the Russians in the Mercedes trying to follow you up the mountain?
That's such a great scene. Oh, it's such an absurd movie. Oh my gosh, that's that training montage. You remember you and I did a training montage for the Word. I don't know, that footage is gone forever.
We did.
I don't remember what the premise was. Oh, you were trying to study.
Exam. Yeah, it was exam training montage.
Yeah. Wow.
Clearly, it didn't work out because 10 years later, I'm doing the show with you for free. So,
it didn't get picked up.
Obviously, that was a failure.
It didn't get picked up by Funny or Die, so that was it for us. If it even existed back then, I think it did actually.
It did. That was early Funny or Die days.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Well, you've successfully, added some humidity to the show, which I have to say, I'm impressed. As always. I just wasn't ready for that. I mean, I'm speechless here. I'm speechless.
There's a first time for everything.
Now, you tonight are going. You're in Atlanta for a shoot. You've got the crew here or on their way. You've also got fantasy football draft tonight. What I want to get from someone, because you actually know how this stuff works. Like, you actually know how fantasy football is supposed to work. Like, you've done it for a long time. You know the league. You know the strategies. I want to know how you're approaching this, because I'm in a money league that I've been in for a while now. And I draft and I participate, and I definitely don't. I set my rosters. I'm not that guy, but I'm very kind of like lower tier fantasy player. Like, for instance, at the show meeting this morning, I mentioned to you and to our surprise guest host next week. Oh yeah, by the way, tell her she's on next week.
She'll be thrilled.
Yeah. She really didn't take my hard sell very well. I was like, oh, I'm just gonna charm her. It'll be whatever. No, she was like, I'm not doing the podcast. Oh, okay. Well, what's lunch?
She wasn't there to haggle. She walked away from the sale. She wasn't buying the car.
She definitely was like, I'll walk out of here, and she walked out of there. It was impressive.
Yeah.
So I'll take her with me next time I go buy a car, which, who knows when that'll be. But,
in fact, to prove how serious she was, she's on another podcast right now just to spite us.
Wow. Wait, is that for real?
No, that's not for real.
Whoa, bro. I would have been like, Facebook, message, DM, you're dead to me. It's over. I'm redacting the offer. Redacted. That was another great Office moment. Dwight tried to kiss me. That did not happen. Redacted. I'm not mad about it. I just think we should talk about it. Redact it. Anyway. As we said at the show meeting today, I'm the guy in the league right now. I guess I wouldn't technically do this because I am aware of it, but I'm the guy that would draft Julian Edelman, who just had an ACL, and Le'Veon Bell. Who knows what the hell's going on with that guy? I'm the guy that drafts that guy. Like, every time I draft, every year, and I press that button, we do auction draft, and I try to work it out. The people are always it's like I'm like on pins and needles because I know someone's going to be like, not even like when you joke with your friends in the draft. Hey, that was a great pick 4 years ago. Like, that happens every pick. Everyone's always doing that. But
that's a good joke. I got to write that one down. I haven't done one before.
yeah. I'm sure it's never happened in any of your drafts. But like, I'm the guy that's going to draft someone who like legitimately they're like, no, seriously, dude, that guy's out. And like, I don't know why I don't see it in the like draft stats. So let's pretend I'm drafting. Not even pretend. I'm drafting next week. Is there even a strategy here? Or should I just go with the flow?
I mean, it depends on some different things.
Okay.
One, honestly, is how serious your league is or how much everybody cares. Because the only time it's really bad is if everybody's kind of at the same level and one person is either way more into it or way less into it than everybody else.
Okay.
So to me, as long as everybody's around the same level of involvement and caring, some of those issues tend to kind of sort themselves out.
Okay.
So that's number one. Number two, I mean, the type of league it is, whether it's a work league or like your boys from growing up, some of that dictates how seriously you should take it or how much you should put into it. I mean, I tend to put a decent amount into every league I'm in just because that's, I enjoy it. It's fun.
Yes.
And I like it. But I also think people get a little too caught up. I mean, like, everybody reads the same stuff. Everybody has the same sleepers that they like. Everybody's reading the same articles on ESPN or Yahoo or CBS or wherever. And, this is not 1995 anymore where you have to wait until you get the next day's newspaper to see what the stats are. Like, everybody's dealing with the same amount of information. So outside of just a sort of a cursory hour or two of preparation of reading through some lists or looking at guys who people like or don't like for whatever reason, or who's hurt and who's healthy, or who's going to play or who's not going to play. I mean, other than just like that basic information, it's really a lot of luck, and you can maybe increase your chances a little bit here and there by more work or having a better eye for who you think is good or how you think a situation is going to play out. But with injuries and everything else, I mean, it's very unpredictable, football especially. But to me, the big thing is just as long as you put in the time to be informed before you draft, set your lineup and make drops and adds every week and put out the best team that you can. Outside of that, there's really, not a whole lot else you can do. And, I tend to do decently from year to year. But, I'm in 3 leagues, and I might go to the championship game in one and go 5-8 and miss the playoffs in another. Like, there's a lot of mitigating factors. So, as far as it seems like your question to me is more about how do I represent myself well within the league and not embarrass myself, if I'm reading into your question properly.
Yeah, and it's not like I'm 2-10. Consistently. I just feel like I'm underperforming, but I think that really comes down to the way that I'm drafting. And
look, and some of that, and different people may have different ideas of how to build a team, but and some of that is it an auction league or like a snake pick? Because sometimes, depending on wherever your pick is, whatever the value is at that spot, like you're not getting Le'Veon Bell or David Johnson, so you need to take a receiver, and you need to build around your receivers instead of your running back. Like, there's so many different ways to build teams, and it's just about maximizing the value of each pick to the best of your ability, and not feeling like, oh, I have to do this. I have to take this guy, or I absolutely cannot take that guy. Because I think people read too much into that. It was like, oh, Matthew Berry doesn't like this guy, or oh, he doesn't like that guy. Well, he might not like him if you have to take him in the third round, but if everybody in your league keeps passing on him and you can get him in the seventh round, they would absolutely take him.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's all relative. So I think to me is just if you can just have a general base knowledge and have a plan going in that you try to stick to. That may have to evolve. I've got an auction draft tonight, and I'll have a general plan of, okay, I think I want to spend this amount on this position and this amount on that position. But based on the way things go, it may completely flip. But as long as you have a plan, just try to do what you think is best and put some effort into it and give a shit, then that's really all you can ask of yourself.
Richard Bruce Barry Abernathy giving me the tips I need to guarantee a championship in my fantasy football league this year.
I do have one sleeper.
Ooh!
I have a sleeper. I'm going to share. I'm going to share it with you. This won't air till after my draft tonight.
Okay.
If you're looking for a quarterback this year, there's
boy.
this guy for the Patriots who's pretty good. His name is Tom Brady. I think he's a little young. He's an up and comer.
Okay.
I think this guy's going to do some things.
Wow. You heard it here first, people. What don't we cover on this show? You're getting fantasy sleepers. You're getting fantasy information. You're getting humid takes about Mayweather McGregor. You're talking about Isaiah Thomas's hip. We are, in this era of fake news, I'm going to go ahead and say we are the news.
That is sad. And on the news front,
yes.
If I can give a quick shout out.
Okay.
We try to keep the show pretty light for the most part. Every once in a while, we'll delve into some more serious topics. I'd like to give a shout out to everybody in the Houston area right now. In the aftermath of the hurricane, looks like a pretty bad situation down there. If you are listening to the show, we give it to you for free. So instead of having to pay for this show, text the Red Cross number and give $10, or make a donation to help the people out there that have lost everything. I'm gonna make a donation later tonight after we get done with the show. Seeing some of the images and seeing things that are going on, you can't see that and not feel something. So if you are listening to this and you have a little disposable income to help some people out, give a few bucks. Roll a few quarters together. Do whatever you can to try to help people out, because the only way this whole thing works is if we have each other's backs. Mm-hmm. So give what you can, try to help out, and hopefully everybody there can get back on their feet sooner rather than later.
Yeah, we were looking at some of the images this morning. I hadn't seen, just except for a couple of the front page images, but our guest host this morning was showing the highway completely underwater. I just never seen anything like that before. I didn't realize it was that bad there, or that Houston was in an area so close to the Gulf of Mexico that it could be affected by a large storm that was tracking in that direction. I had no idea.
There was a really bad hurricane. I believe it was in Galveston back around the turn of the 20th century. Mm-hmm. That really until Katrina was sort of the benchmark for, or maybe even Hurricane Andrew was sort of the benchmark of devastation, especially being at such a low elevation there.
Yep.
So, it's been a tough thing to see, and as much as this is sort of a token thing to say at this point, but we see all the divisiveness, we see everybody fighting over every little thing, and those concerns are still real. But it is nice to see people out there in boats going to just citizens trying to help people in neighborhoods where they don't even live. See if there's anybody who's trapped, anybody who didn't get out, any way that they can do to help and make sure people get to safety. It's good to see people doing those things and to know that we're not all complete assholes all the time.
Yeah, and especially with the current climate in this country politically, it puts everything in perspective. which is good
Yeah,
because
well. Some of those things are still in the political climate are still serious things that I think are in perspective. But yes, like it does. When we're battling about who tweeted this to who tweeted whatever. Like some of that stuff is dumb and irrelevant.
mm,
So it's always good to see people giving a shit about other people,
hmm
even if it takes some horrifying circumstances to allow us to see that.
mm. Covered a little bit of everything today. I appreciate you bringing out the PSA there. That's good. We'll put a reminder on that on the podcast and on the YouTube streams wherever this episode ends up airing. So
I
that's
think this
good.
is airing on CNN tomorrow night.
Oh wow, we got booked. Okay, we made it.
We're right between Fareed Zakaria and Anderson Cooper.
Honey, what's the show on CNN right now? This guy's just laughing the whole time. His friend's trying to get him to come back to the show.
Yeah, it was funny until the white guy ruined it.
Stop! I do not troll me. I am still upset about that. Cannot believe YouTube commenters. This was like early YouTube too. Like the trolls they're just like waiting for the next platform to troll. I'm still upset about that. You just get me so riled up, man.
That's what I do. I'm an instigator.
Now I'm going to be on Reddit all night, and then that's going to just
Where did the soda go?
it's going to snowball into Game of Thrones. Not going to get any work done. Maybe I should just give up on that. Maybe I'm just going to just relax tonight. Who knows?
Game of what?
Yeah. By the way, yeah, we talked about that at the show meeting. Game of Thrones season finale tonight. And I just think you could still catch up. You've got 2 hours. You could probably just catch up on all 7 seasons you haven't watched yet and still do your draft and still watch the finale.
Yeah, I don't think so, Tim.
Oh, man. Well, we
Actually, before we sign off, I'd like to end on a lighter note.
okay, let's go for it.
I want to circle back to the GIF conversation.
Oh, wow. Wow. Okay.
So, what is your reasoning that it's GIF, other than the person who figured out how the technology works says it is GIF?
That's my only reason.
Okay. First of all, GIF is peanut butter, so that's copyright infringement.
But it's
Number
not
one.
spelled the same way, bro.
Okay, what does the G stand for? It stands for graphic, correct?
Yes.
Do you say graphic?
No, I don't.
Oh, okay. So it's a hard G.
Look. I don't.
Like
Is that the precedent?
NBA is National Basketball Association, so you say NBA.
Yes.
You don't say NBA. Oh no, I came up with it. It's NBA.
So you think that this is a done deal? You think that there's no discussion, there's no debate?
Open and shut case.
Wow, this dude's got takes today. This dude's got takes today.
GIF. It's GIF.
Wow. How do we resolve this? Is it resolvable?
There are a few petty internet arguments that I actually really have a strong opinion on, but this is one of them.
I don't think this is petty. I mean, I think it's silly, but
You're silly. You're petty.
Well, that deteriorated really quickly. We are on the internet, as you can tell. How do we resolve this?
That is a great question.
Because I don't see how this isn't. Like, you're saying it's open and shut, and I'm not disagreeing with that it's open and shut. I just want to know, like, how do we?
You think it's shut and open?
Yeah, like how? Like it's wide open to me. We still don't have any definitive, real evidence of how it's supposed to be pronounced.
Yeah, I don't. Just because the guy who created it says it's one way, that doesn't mean anything to me.
This is one of those things where I think that we have an opportunity on this program to put this debate to rest. I don't know how we're going to do that.
Apparently, the Oxford English Dictionary accepts both pronunciations.
Now, see, that to me seems like a cop-out. Like, you're the Oxford Dictionary, bro. Like, you got to go for it. You got to solve this for us.
No, it's all opinion.
Wow.
But I prefer to be right in my opinions rather than wrong in them.
All right. Well, we're gonna fix this. We're gonna put this on the show bucket list. We're gonna get experts on. We're gonna take it to Congress. We're gonna have meetings at the White House. I just can't sleep.
Let's put healthcare on the back burner. Let's put Russia on the back burner. Let's figure out GIF and GIF.
I just think it's more important.
Actually, you know what? You know how we solve this?
How?
We ask Trump what it is, and whatever he says, we do the opposite.
Ooh, here he goes. Humid take. A humid take. A humid take. A humid take. This guy's got.
Don't sweat it.
This guy, I don't think. Is the internet even ready for us to release this show?
It never is, but usually for different reasons.
Oh, my goodness. The Word Podcast, by the way, is the name of the show that you're listening to. We have, on this program, we have closed the books on a couple of things, but we've opened the books on a couple of others. We have discussed Kyrie Irving trade.
Is it books or books? Are we going to debate?
Wow. This guy's on fire right now, huh? Oh, by the way, I got something for you in the green room, by the way. Oh, I got something for you in the green room, son. Well, we'll get to that later. We discussed the Kyrie and Isaiah Thomas trade.
As it stands now.
We don't it's still developing story here on the Word News Network.
Yeah. Which, by the way, the whole Boston needs to add something else to that thing. I don't know where that's going to go, but it seems a little, I don't want to say disingenuous, but Cleveland's acting like they didn't know, and they're not making that trade for Isaiah Thomas. They're making that trade for the pick.
Okay.
So I could see Boston having to throw in something else, but people who are saying that they should get the Lakers pick, there's no way that happens.
Yeah, no, of course not. No. We broke down the trade, which is still developing. Rich delivered a humid take on I think it was more than humid, man. I don't know. But again, we will not upgrade it to a hot take. A humid take on Mayweather McGregor. And I have...
Room temperature?
I think it's hotter than room temperature, dude.
Warm?
I think... a little...
Is it like a baby bottle that you have to test on your arm to make sure it's not too hot?
Jeez. I was going to say it's like a little stuffy.
You know what I'm talking about?
I know exactly what you're talking about, yeah. I mean, not that I've ever had a baby, but I'm familiar with the technique.
Oh, yeah. We're citizens of the world. We understand things we haven't directly experienced. It's fine.
I just think it's like it's like not warm, it's like stuffy. It's like, can we open a window in here? That takes a
stuffy. Oh, stuffy. That's different altogether.
Really?
You just accused me of being a coastal elitist with my stuffy take.
No, that's not what I'm going for with stuffy. My definition of stuffy there is like I said, it's like it's a little hot in here. Can we crack a window? Like that's like what I'm talking about. Not like, if you don't eat organic foods, then I just don't feel like we can eat at this restaurant. Or if your food's not totally organic, I want to know where the pig came from. I want to know its name. That's not no.
I wear acai cologne.
Ooh. Which, by the way, now that Whole Foods has been bought out by Amazon, apparently they're lowering their prices, which I think is interesting.
Dude, Whole Foods already had a great deal every Tuesday. I don't know if you're aware of this or not.
What was the deal on Tuesdays?
It's like all the meat and like the chicken and beef and all that sort of stuff is like half off or something.
What?
Yeah, it's like you get great. I'll go load up on some chicken breast or some ground beef for the week.
How is this stuff going on and no one's telling me about it? I mean, what is this?
Well, the first rule of Fresh Market Club is you don't talk about Fresh Market Club.
Wait, Fresh Market or Whole Foods?
Oh wait, no, name it confusing. Fresh Market. Never mind. We're cutting this from the show. Redacted. Redacted.
Fresh Market though,
They're the same. They're the same.
Fresh Market's gangster though. I like Fresh Market. I like
Fresh Market and Whole Foods are the same thing.
I mean, I'm not saying one's better, or I'm not saying that they're so different, but I like a Fresh Market. I like the way it's laid out. It's very
fresh, but like a market.
Oh my goodness! Hold on, I need to annotate that. Fucking kidding me. Oh my gosh.
By the way, can the title of this episode please be "Humid Takes"?
Ooh, putting it in the show notes. Humid takes. Let me just take a little notation here. So we've got our takes in, and Rich also gave me the tools and the strategy and the mindset that I need to guarantee a win in my fantasy football league this season, the championship. You can purchase Richard's program at www.fantasywinning.com/the-word. It's only $89.99 for a limited time only. It's a stone cold lead pipe lock. You will win your league if you purchase that program.
We only take Discover Card. We're all about that cash back.
And Bitcoin. Really just trying to.
Actually, I would take Bitcoin. I don't even know what we need to talk about that next time. I still don't really know what Bitcoin is. I mean, I know what it is, but I don't know what it is.
It's such a beautiful thing. I love life right now because somebody on Twitter the other day posted, cryptocurrency consultant is the new growth hacker. It's like all these people are trying to make money on advising you on how to get your cryptocurrency strategy sorted out. There's a couple of guys at work,
Instead of buying gold and burying gold, do I now transfer my savings to Bitcoin and then bury the hard drives in the backyard? Is that like the new?
Ironically enough, how it's been explained to me, it's not that you're not really that far off there. Like the currency is encrypted, and so to get access to it, you have to have like these other tools, and nobody has them but the people that made them. There was this whole thing about them getting in front of the Congress last year and trying to make it like so that Bitcoin can be used as real currency, but then like the Federal Reserve has a problem with that because obviously our money is backed by gold, and I mean I don't even know, man. It's just
if I transfer real money to Bitcoin, wherever I store my Bitcoin, can they use that to make risky real estate investments without me knowing about it?
See, I don't even know. Like, I don't think that you get I think you just have access to it. You don't get. It's not like you don't get anything physical.
And if I have Bitcoins and I get to Dr. Robotnik and I get hit, do they spill out all over the screen and I lose them like Sonic the Hedgehog? Or how does this work?
That's my vision of Bitcoin. Like that's what I envision. I'm like, oh, it's like just little coins on a computer screen. Like we might have to. I do know someone who's very wrapped up in that world. Maybe we should get him on the show. I don't know if he'd be interested, but all these guys.
You should at least consult with them offline and then break it down.
Okay, yeah, that's a good point, and I'm sure he'd be more than happy to share with me all his thoughts on Bitcoin.
Because I am like joking around, but like seriously, like I kind of want to understand it a little bit better. At least like the application. I mean, I'm pretty. I don't want to say like I get like the general purpose, but it seems pretty obvious that it's just a digital encrypted form of currency. But how that applies or what it means going forward, I'm very curious about.
Here's my thing, with Bitcoin. This is a lukewarm take.
I'll be the judge of that.
I'm still trying to figure out regular money. And
give me $20 and I'll explain it to you.
like, I am still just every day, just like, you know, but here's a great example. I just got cleaned out by my dentist. I mean, there was a deep cleaning followed up almost immediately by it was a wisdom teeth.
So is this literal or metaphor or a bit of both?
It's a bit of both, yeah, and that's not intentional. I didn't even think about that.
A litaphor?
I mean, I got the wisdom teeth, which was long overdue, and it feels great to have them out now that I'm recovered. And then that was followed up almost immediately by a deep cleaning. Then I got to go in on Wednesday for the other deep cleaning, the other side of the mouth. And, you know, it was expensive. And so I'm like kind of like, you know, on a razor's edge financially for the last couple of weeks because I was like, you know, let's just get this dental stuff over with. Should have been done years ago. And I didn't do it. And I'm like, you know, you still have a long way to go. Like you should be prepared for high dollar medical things that happen in your life. There should be some sort of savings foundation or you know, and so like to me, I always
There is.
No, I'm saying, but I should actually like institute that in my life.
Okay. Not that it doesn't exist, that you're just not taking full advantage.
Exactly. You know, I'm not even talking about an HSA or whatever those things are. I'm just talking about like setting aside money, you know, which I used to do pretty regularly. Just like put it in savings. This is your rainy day, your emergency fund, whatever you want to call it. And so I'm like, I'm still trying to figure out regular money. What am I going to go and invest in this thing that we don't even know what it is? We don't even know how. Like, what am I going to need Bitcoin for? People are like, well, if the dollar, you know, collapses and we're all like, you know, the doomsday preppers and all that, what are we going to pay for things with? Like, yeah, you know, am I going to just whip out my computer during the apocalypse and like, yeah, here I'm going to buy these cans of beans with these Bitcoin? I mean, get out of here.
Yeah. If it devolves to that point, the internet's not working. So.
Exactly. Like, I just don't understand this. It's just drives me nuts. And these guys at work, they got the charts and they got the screens. And they're tracking Bitcoin. Like, oh, and they all have different names too. I've picked up on that. Like, you know, this, you know, genre of the currency is like really trading really high. So I'm gonna like get in on, get in at a good price. And I'm just like, you're speaking a different language to me. What are you talking about? Just put your money in.
We could break this down next week. We've already done currency, sports figures on currency. Next week we're going to do who's on the Bitcoin.
I like it. I'll tell you a little tease. I'll tell you
if Numa guy is not on like the $5, then I'm done. I quit the show.
Do they have like? That's another thing. What are the increments? Like, what is a Bitcoin? Is that $1? What is it? Is there an exchange rate? Like, I don't understand. How can there be an exchange rate for Bitcoin if the whole point of it is to not use real money? Like, maybe I'm just economically not very savvy, but I just don't see that seems like a contradiction to me. It's like, yeah, we're trying to circumvent like the Federal Reserve and like the banks and all this, but you know, you can buy them for real money. Well, how does that make any sense?
Yeah, it doesn't.
Shouldn't I like get Bitcoin by like, I don't know, like having some kind of access to software that allows me to encrypt my own Bitcoins? What is going on here? This is ridiculous. Just we're going to break it down. Yeah, we're going to figure out what the hell this thing is because I have no idea. And I'm actually, you brought up a good point. We need to figure it out. I might have some lukewarm to humid, dare I say arid takes on Bitcoin next week.
We're going Vice News on Bitcoin next week.
Ooh, actually, that's a good point. I bet you if I watched a Vice News thing on it, I probably know everything I need to know. They're really good. They're really good about that stuff.
Yeah, it's an interesting way to do news.
I used to be very dismissive. I was like, oh, it's like hipster, like yuppie, like we're cool, we're like hip. I'm wearing like a button up, but I'm like reporting on like.
Well, it is, but it doesn't mean that it's without merit or value.
Yeah, I just dismissed it for that, and I think that was I'm a little bit embarrassed because it's actually like really they have like really good programming. Like that program they do where they go to the abandoned malls, it's just like unbelievable. Like it's incredible. Like these wastelands, there just used to be these thriving, you know, commercial areas, and it's like just not even like squatters in there. It's like completely desolate and overgrown with vegetation, and
we do mall rats too?
How come that hasn't happened yet? Kevin Smith, I mean, he's just chilling, doing his podcast, just hanging out. I'll put him in a bucket list for the show. Kevin Smith, that'd be a fun podcast. I would just debate with him. I'd be like, Kevin, you know the new Star Wars isn't good, dude. Stop pretending. Just because you're friends with J.J. Abrams, you know it's not good. It's not good. And where's my trailer? Let me just add him to the guest bucket list. Okay. People, action-packed show. A lot of action. The Word Podcast is the name of the program. The hashtag is sports news stuff. Dare I say that we'll be back next week? Should we try to do this on the weekends these days? Is that what we're done with?
I don't know. It's not a bad fallback.
I just think during the week, it's just really, even though I have like the middle of the week empty with soccer, Wednesday, Thursday, I don't practice. When I get back, I'm just like, it's all I can do to like eat something and like turn on like a stupid video on YouTube and like just pass out. So I think, I think weekends we might have to bank on them, but we'll play it by ear.
But the key point is that we'll be back.
Ooh.
And loyal listeners, there's nothing you can do about it. Despite your pleas to the contrary, we will be back.
We will be back. I actually do know one listener that is very excited. I told her that you were coming.
Apparently that listener knows me.
Yes. She is a frequent listener of the podcast. She was very excited that you were coming into town. She might be a little disappointed that we didn't do the show together because she was like, you guys can do the show in the same room. I was like,
well,
yeah.
I'll be back in a few weeks. We'll make it happen.
We'll do a live. We should actually we'll actually set that up and do it live. We'll do it from the co-working space. But
I'll get Joey the intern on it.
Yeah, since you have interns apparently. You know what? I don't even want an intern. Fine, you take the interns because that means you have to do more stuff. I can't do as much without interns. You do it. Fine. Go ahead. I'm okay with that. You should see the hand motions I'm making right now. It's like I'm standing in the room with you. Yeah, fine, whatever. It's cool. No big deal. Yeah.
No, it's fine. No, it's fine. No, I'm not mad.
All right, well, I want to thank everybody for listening to the program today. Any shout-outs or anything before we release the hounds?
Not a shout-out, but I'm going to give a quick plug, if I may.
Of course.
I am involved in the golf television industry. It's a big time of year for us right now. I had a very exciting end of the tournament today, the first of 4 playoff events. So over the next couple of weeks, watch some golf. There's some really exciting players. There's been some good action. It's been a great season. It's shaping up to be an exciting finish. I know golf may not be for everybody, much like, I'm not a fan of boxing or MMA. Some people listening might not be a fan of golf. But give it a shot. It's fun. They're good guys. Good action. So watch the FedEx Cup playoffs.
Richard Bruce Faldo Abernathy with a plug.
That's a good one.
For the PGA. Yeah, that one actually is off the cuff. I'm going to give myself props for that one. That's not one that I've, usually I practice these, for hours before the show, but that one was off the cuff.
I like it.
He is Harrison Ford's doppelganger. It's incredible. I love it.
That is fantastic. That is a good one.
Oh, man. All right. PGA Tour events. Make sure you check them out. You might even catch a glimpse of RBFA, Richard Bruce Faldo Abernathy, at the event. What do you do when you're at the event? So you're not holding the camera. You're running the show. You're not actually.
Yes, I'm getting the camera in the right spot. Mm-hmm. Hopefully.
I like it. Well, I got no shout outs here. I do want to say thank you all for tuning into the Word. Sports news stuff is the hashtag. We'll be back next week for Richard Bruce Rinaldi Abernathy.
He is James Israel Atlas Mundia. See you next time.